Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Pretty simple video today. I just want to talk for a little while and start it off with a question. Do you drink coffee? I'm curious about everybody's coffee habits, or caffeine habits I should say, because caffeine and coffee are two different things. But I think a standard cup of coffee is like 100 milligrams or so of caffeine. I used to drink caffeine. I used to drink coffee like every day, but I become physically dependent on coffee very quickly. And if I don't get it, I get a headache. I'll become dependent on coffee, right, over a certain amount of time. And the first day I go without, I can forget it for a couple hours and I'll be into my day and the headache will begin. And sometimes even if I get the caffeine and I get coffee into my system, the headache won't go away unless I take ibuprofen or something. And so that just wasn't gonna cut it. I can't, headaches are probably my least favorite part about being alive and awake. I just absolutely can't stand getting headaches. I get enough of them as it is. I'm very headache prone, I think, as a person. So I don't know, I just can't have a dependency that results in a headache when I forget to do it, or if I rush out the door and I don't have time to make the coffee. I don't enjoy the coffee enough, I would say, to make the morning ritual stick. So I would inevitably forget and it would result in a really shitty day. And so yeah, I just don't really do coffee. Coffee's great. I love coffee. I like the taste of coffee. I like that there's sort of an artisanal, there's boutique coffee, you can really snob out and go for the finer roasts and where people really know what they're up to. That's great. Coffee is a whole ecosystem and it's completely, totally socially accepted. I think people of most walks of life and most backgrounds, most religions, most whatever, they're down with coffee. They drink it, they consume it, and just generally caffeine in general is maybe the Amish and maybe some groups. I don't know about the Amish. I'm just throwing them out there because they're against a lot of modernity, but most groups are down with caffeine. Most parts of society, I think, are totally cool with it, but that was not always the case. There's all sorts of examples in history where coffee moves into a society and people are no, that's the devil's drink. Literally, they're treating it, the same way that cannabis was treated in the 1930s during Prohibition in the West, during all that reefer madness, because pretty much every substance that is introduced to a society is treated this way by at least some of the society. But yeah, caffeine was once on the ropes. In Europe, when it came around, it hit different countries at different times and stuff. Yeah, it made waves. Most people really liked it. It took hold very quickly. I don't think that you can say that it had the same kind of friction or the same kind of pushback that cannabis has had in the Western world, but it's just funny to me that there are similarities. There was at least one group in the UK that wrote in to the paper calling it a heathenish liquor, and they got some support for that. There were even outright bans on coffee due to its stimulating effects and other concerns about groups and whatnot, just racism and shit like that. Most notably probably by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church sometime in the 18th century, I think. Something like that. But they banned it. They quickly lifted the ban because they saw, I think, what good money it was. What I love most is that in Rome, when it came in and caused a big stink, there were all these priests coming to the Pope and they were man, you gotta ban this stuff. It's a Muslim drink, those people are using it. It was just real classic racism and fear mongering and the stimulating effects are gonna ruin society and shit like that. It's the same exact pattern that you see with lots of substances, including cannabis, in the West today. And it's always based in ignorance because, as we know, the Pope tried the coffee back then, and he was nah, this is dope. We're gonna back this, and he did an official decree. And at that point, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You're talking about the Vatican. You're talking about Rome. The Pope is practically the head of the government. He's he might as well be. His word is very important, so he makes it a decree that coffee is okay, and that really changed things. That allowed coffee to really spread a lot faster. It just makes me wish, it makes me really wish, Biden just smokes a joint up there at the White House at the podium, goes, hey man, I tried it, it's okay. I don't know. Something like that, some kind of stunt like that would definitely go a long way in the fight of like legalization and destigmatization and all that stuff. Not that it would ever happen in a million years. The country is still like way too conservative about cannabis for that, which is crazy to me, because all those fears, like you can say really negative things about some substances as they come in. But like what matters is the truth, right? What matters is what the science says about what the thing is doing to our body. We know what coffee does, like we figured it out. Medically, we know what caffeine is doing. We even know how much a lethal overdose is. Like about 40 cups of coffee will kill a man. It's like you can die from drinking way too much coffee. You can't really overdose on weed. It's not toxic. It's not hurting you. It might mess with your memory a little bit, but you can get that stuff back if you quit. People have tried to consume, huge overdoses in edibles and whatnot, but I don't think it's possible to overdose on weed. Unlike the other substances out there, it's not really toxic. It doesn't have to be processed by the body in that way, so you're not really damaging your systems when you consume it. That's not what the cannabinoids are doing anyway. Say what you want about the relationship between smoking and your lungs. That's different. Combustion will always carry with it certain risks, I believe, but so the fear in cannabis, at this point I'm thoroughly convinced that if anybody is talking to me about the negatives of cannabis and the ills of what it's going to do to society and all this stuff, I know they're coming from a place of total ignorance. They just don't know, because we know a lot about the plant now. We don't know everything, but we do know how it interacts with our body. We know about how safe it is, essentially. We just know enough to dispel and dispense with all of this crazy reefer madness that still exists in our country, which is very much akin to probably a lot of what was going on hundreds of years ago with something as simple and mundane as coffee. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw this together. I wanted to talk about it. I've been meaning to talk about it for a little while. And I wanted to try a different sort of style of video where I just talk to the camera, and maybe YouTube won't age restrict it, and maybe more people will see it. Maybe not, but maybe, they will. I don't know. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, please hit the bell so you get notified when I drop new stuff. Also, if you want to hang out and get high and make some rosin, I do that at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. That's today. So come over to Twitch. My links will be in the description and the pinned comment. I'll be going live at 4 like I always do for the weekly smash. I have a bunch of new strains lined up and some old ones, so my voice is gone. It's oh my God, I've been dabbing all day, and it's been a really long day. It's actually the end of the day. I'm making this video very, very, very last minute, and I have been, this coffee thing has been noodling on my mind. I'm betting that the reactions to other substances are very similar. I could go back, because I'm guessing nicotine, all these socially acceptable medicines and drugs that are just used every day in our society these days, they probably had similar background stories where they come in and people are no, it's the devil's thing, and they just try to ban it, and I don't know. It's just how people are, and until you know the scientific truth about the substance, it just doesn't really matter what people's opinions are and stuff. So the more we find out about the weed, the more we realize that it's safe, and I just hope that society moves in a positive direction and starts to treat it more like coffee. Anyway, that's it. Come on over to Twitch at 4. We're gonna be doing the weekly smash, getting super high, making lots of rosin. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you guys in the next video.